Hey, it's Captain Roger. Hopefully you can hear me. Keeping my voice down a little bit. Might notice it's dark outside. It's only 6:30 at night, but hey, have you ever had one of those days where the whole day something keeps nagging at you? Something I haven't done. There's something I haven't done. And then finally, when you're about done for the day, it occurs to you what that thing is. Guess what I hadn't done? I hadn't taken my walk. So let's go for a walk. I'll try not to trip in the dark. And you can just walk along in your head. That's just fine. So we're finishing up the book of Genesis. We've walked all the way through from the beginning to the end. We didn't cover all the stories or all the people in there, but as our walk with God has gone, we've had a chance to see these other guys who walk with God and how they did it. And particularly Joseph and his brothers, at the end of their days, they found themselves walking in a new land after the famine and Joseph's invitation. The whole family, father, all the brothers, their households, they all moved down to Egypt, where they were going to stay, turned out, for about 450 years. That's a long time. But it was important. It gave them a chance to grow together as a people, and to grow as a people, and to learn that God would care for them, even in difficult circumstances. And as they moved down, it seemed that was clear to them to start with. But then, after they had been there for a few years, their father Jacob died, and the brothers all became very concerned that Joseph hadn't meant it when he said he was actually glad that he was there, and that he wasn't taking any revenge on them. They didn't trust in his walk with God. As far as I can tell, he never gave them any indication or any reason why that wouldn't be acceptable or wouldn't be continuing. But they were very concerned, so much so they had a little family meeting. And they said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get together and we're going to go tell them, hey, Dad said, you really need to forgive your brothers. And since Dad's dead, he can't counter that. So they played off this little deception. And Joseph just looked at him. And I think he knew better. But he really just repeated what he had told them before. Look, you guys intended this for evil, but God intended it for good. So you have nothing to fear from me. Be blessed. Live the life that God wants you to live. Essentially, he said, look, I'm going to keep walking with God. I want you to keep walking with God. Live as a family. And so that's what they ended up doing. You read through the last couple of chapters of Genesis, the last couple of paragraphs in particular, and they just stay together as a family right to the end of Joseph's life. And when he died, he asked that his bones be kept with his family while they were in Egypt. But he said, while I was walking with God, I knew that there was a time that we would be called to return home to the land God promised our ancestors. When that happens, take me with. Which is kind of funny. Joseph's idea, after having lived in Egypt most of his life, was that his spirit would stay with his body. And he wanted to make sure that whatever happened, he would always get to walk with God. So when his descendants walked with God into the land that God had promised them, he wanted to go with them. And ultimately, that's what's going to happen. Although, like I said, it's going to be about 450 years before that does. So what I kind of like about that idea, that story, is that this life is not the only life that we walk in. Joseph, living in a culture that kind of believed in the living and the dead walking together, he wanted to make sure that he walked with God even in the afterlife, which is kind of what we all do, really. There's an expectation, a hope that this life is not the end and that our walk with God will continue, because that's the kind of joy walking with God should bring to each and every one of us. So, as I finish my walk tonight, and I will remember to do tomorrow's earlier, I promise, let's think on that. How do we keep in mind this hope, this expectation that our walk with God isn't temporary, and it's not just in this world. It's something that goes on and on. So we need to be ready. Got to get in shape for that walk by continuing to walk here. Grace and peace to you all. I got to finish this.